to finish First Peter tonight.
If I get the microphone back.
Yes. And next week and the week after, and then skip a week, and the week after that, we are going to have a special speaker. Please invite your friends. They will want to be here. His name is Patrick Stitt, which is making Alyssa very happy. I don't know about that, but he is Irish, and he is a missionary to Japan, and he's going to be talking about missional living, not missionary living, but missional living. Yes. And then I have two other announcements that I need to make. The first is on June 8th, which is a Sunday night at 6 o'clock. We're going to have a pie fellowship with some missionaries, the Lizaragis, who are just amazing people, and you'll want to meet them. And then at the end of June, we have a missionary team coming to do Vacation Bible School in Centennial Square. And we're going to have a bash at the end of that in the evening. So if you could bring cases of pop or bags of chips or hot dogs or hamburgers, teenage food, because we're going to need to feed them. And it's going to be a big to-do. So, wow.
All right. So last week we finished up chapter 4. And just to remind you what we talked about in chapter 4, Peter taught us a lot about our lives and what they need to be marked by. So this was actually 2 weeks of teaching that I'm covering here in chapter 4. We talked about holy living and how important it was to live a holy life, how important prayer is in your life, which we've been talking about already tonight, but prayer is so vital in our lives. Then we talked about loving each other and how important it is to love each other, not just tolerate each other, but truly love each other with the love of the Lord, how to love each other. And then we talked a lot last week about serving and using our gifts and how our gifts are not necessarily what we think they are, like, oh, I'm really good at this. This must be my gift. That's true. You can have some natural gifts, but you can also, God said to Moses, what's in your hand? He's like, a stick. Sometimes it's just what's in your hand. God can use you with whatever you have. So gifts are whatever is in your hand in the moment. So sometimes it's something you have the ability in. Sometimes it's something you have no ability in. And actually, when God uses us with something we have no ability in, it's way easier to see his hand in it, because it clearly wasn't us, because we didn't have that skill set, but he was able to use us. But the point was, we need to do something. You should always be doing something. And I don't mean you all need to come to the church and figure out what you need to do. There's something in your life that you need to be doing for the Lord every day. We should all be doing something because we're living for him. So be faithful to Christ and know that God has a bigger plan and a brighter future than you can see, because if we laid it out, we probably would miss a lot of stuff that God has in store for us and wants to use us. We also learned last week that suffering hurts, and how do we make it through? And how we make it through is we have to look at Jesus, because suffering, we're all going to go through suffering. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but we look to Jesus. And all of a sudden, that suffering, that song we sing, turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth, what do? Go strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. When we look to Jesus, all of that suffering, it takes its proper place, which is secondary to what's really important, which is God. So this week, we're going to finish up 1 Peter in 30 minutes, 35, because I had to give up 5. And I know, Kim. Some of my favorite verses are in this section. So let's read 1 Peter 5, 1 through 4, not this particular section, the next section. But therefore, I exhort the elders among you as your fellow elder and witness of sufferings of Christ, and a partaker also of the glory that is to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but voluntarily, according to the will of God, and not for sordid gain, but with eagerness, nor nor yet as lording it over those allotted to your charge, but providing to be examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. So this portion kind of sounds like it's talking to the leaders, because it is. And I'm going to just briefly talk about this. So Peter, first of all, provides a bit of his pedigree as he's talking about this, because he said that he is a fellow elder. So he's putting himself in the same category. He's a fellow elder, but he also was a firsthand witness of Christ's sufferings. So he understood what it looked like to follow Christ and to even see him die. Peter understood that. And he said he's living for the glory to come. He doesn't want to be missing out, and his life fully belongs to God. And he's setting that example. And as a leader, in whatever capacity you're leading, that's exactly how you need to lead as well. It was interesting in the second verse. I know I pop around if you can do that. The shepherd, he said, shepherd the flock of God. And I just want to do an aside. You know, a pastor is shepherding a flock of God. This is not, you guys don't belong to Pastor and I. You belong to God. And you're the flock of God. You're not the flock of Tree of Life. You're the flock of God. We all are part of God's people. We're not, and you know, you have to be careful. A lot of times there's big personalities and they seem to own their sheep. It's all about bringing people to God. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But the role of the pastor, in my career, I had a boss who, all my bosses before him were always concerned about what you did, what the quality was, the quantity, what. But he's like, what is half the equation? The other half is how you did it. So you can do all of these things, but if you do it with a bad attitude, it cancels out what you did. Nobody wants to work with you. You're more difficult to be around. You push people away. So what and how work together. And Peter is saying that too. So the role of the pastor. So what the pastor is he's a shepherd, which means he has to keep the flock safe. He needs to guide them and teach them. But how does he do that? And that's really important too. How is as a servant. He's a servant by choice, because this is God's flock that he's taking care of. He's a servant by choice with eagerness, wanting to do it, not like, oh man, I got to come and do this again every week. But no, you want to do it with eagerness. And you want to do it as an example to those that you're leading. And this isn't just for pastors, because what happens is a pastor is going to teach, be an example, and lead, and then you're going to go out and in your groups that you teach and lead, whether it's a one-on-one relationship or if it's a small group or whatever you do, these same characteristics are supposed to be identifiable in you. You're servant by choice. You do this with eagerness. You do this as an example to teach the next group. So we should be doing all things as unto the Lord. Everything that we do, we should be doing it as if the Lord is the one, because he is, not like we're pretending that we're doing it for the Lord. We should do everything as unto the Lord. Do it as if the Lord asked you to do it, because he did, because he's directing our steps. We should be doing everything, whether it's how you greet people in the grocery store or what you do for your job, or everything should be as if it's for the Lord, because it is. So this is not just in displaying a Christian life, but in displaying relationships with God and bringing the reality of God to those around you. People see how you talk about God, how it impacts your life, because you can in one voice say, oh, I went to church, it was so wonderful, and the Lord just blessed me. And then you can go over here and gossip about somebody and be negative and ugly. And they're going to say, God doesn't have what impact does God have in that life? Because there's two different things happening. We need to behave all the time and bring that be an example, and bring that example of God to everyone. Now, I have said this multiple times. Pastor and I have talked about this multiple times. Our goal, and actually, even when I was writing this, I have to admit that it brings tears to my eyes. I will try not to cry because I always get embarrassed crying publicly. But if I sit up here and talk to you, and that's all I'm doing is talking to you, and you don't end up falling more in love with Jesus, and if you don't end up wanting to spend more time with him, I feel like I'm missing the boat somehow, because that's my whole goal. That's Pastor's whole goal, is we just want you to fall in love with Jesus, because he's the only thing that matters. And we can give you things that make you feel good, but the thing that's going to make you feel the best is to know Jesus, because he's the one that's there in the darkest of night. He's the one that's there when things are awful. And at 2 a.m, you can call me. I may or may not answer, not because I don't want to talk to you, but because I won't hear my phone. But Jesus is there at 2 a.m. He's there to hear your call. He's there to hear the cry of your heart. When you can't even put it into words because it hurts so much, Jesus is there. I want you to fall in love with Jesus because you need him. You need him more than the air that you breathe. There's a song that came out in the 80s that was by Connie Scott, and nobody knows it. My husband doesn't even know it because we listen to very different music. But it was called Jesus in Your Heart. And one of the lines is, more than anything I know, I want Jesus in your heart. That's my true prayer for this church. More than anything I know, I want Jesus in your heart. And part of the lyrics is, he's more than all the world can give when he truly comes to live in your heart. Why do you try to search for more when he's what you're looking for? So more than anything, I just want Jesus in your heart. And I can't express that enough. That's my goal. And that's Pastor's goal too. Just know Jesus more. And don't think, well, this all sounds good, but then tomorrow comes and it doesn't work. It does work, because God knows exactly where you are. He knows where you fail. He knows where you fall, and he's there to be with you. And he's so patient. Not that he wants you to continue to live in sin, but he's so patient, and he's always there to pick you up. I remember giving this example when Briley was first learning how to walk, and she would try to run through the sanctuary, and she'd take like 2 steps, fall flat on her face, and then stand up again, and she would do it again. The Lord knows where you are in your walk. And sometimes it's just a crawl. We can barely get to the next step. Sin seems like our sinful nature seems so close. But just like a child that was crawling soon is walking, and everybody knows this. When a child goes from walking, it is like 2 days until they are running, and you can never stop them again. Same thing is true in your Christian walk. You barely feel like you can take a step, and the next thing you know, you're running with the Lord. So please don't give up. Please keep pushing forward. So the last part of this verse I want to talk about was this crown of glory. Now, I don't want you to think that we, as any kind of leadership, like Leanne is not waiting for her crown of glory, saying, whoo, I'm a minister and I'm getting a crown of glory. You're not. That's not what this is about. Because what the crown of glory, how do we, when we are in the presence of the Lord, what is a crown? It's nothing compared to his goodness. They just showed up. The kids just up. It's nothing compared to God's goodness. And it says in Revelation 4:10-11, the 24 elders will fall down before him who sits on the throne and will worship him who lives forever and ever, and will cast their crowns before the throne, saying, worthy are you, our Lord and our God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and because of your will, they exist and were created. The crowns, these 24 elders, there's only 24 of them, and their crowns just get cast to the feet of Jesus, because who are we? Nobody's going to be in heaven comparing crowns. All it is this is evidence that Christ was working in my life. That's all it was. And it's all the glory goes to him. I didn't do anything. Christ did it all. Because heaven isn't a caste system. We're not going to be comparing ourselves to each other in heaven, like, oh, their mansion's bigger than mine. They have more crowns than I do. They have more friends than I do in heaven. Heaven's not like that. We're not going to be comparing each other to each other, because we understand the rod of comparison isn't me to you, it's me to Christ. And when you compare yourself to Christ, there's no comparison. He's the one that gets all of the glory. So we're all sinners saved by grace, and we're all of our righteousness. The scripture says all of our righteousness is like filthy rags. It's nothing compared to how wonderful God is. So all of these things that we think we should be proud of will have no value when we actually measure to Christ. We won't be comparing crowns, but we'll be absorbed in the awe of God. So that's when it talks about these crowns that we're getting, we're not going to be comparing crowns. We're just going to be giving them right back. Like this is how the Lord worked in my life. I can't believe that God used me. That's going to be our response. Not I'm the first place winner. That's not even how the attitude would be, because all glory goes to God. Actually, I want to talk about the word cast here because we're going to use it again. But the word cast truly means just throw it. Like it's not mine. I think about fishing. You guys fisher people? If you cast, you're like throwing it, right? You're not like kind of tossing lightly, because you'd be like 3 inches in the water. There's no fish there. You're casting. But casting your crown, you're giving it to the Lord. All glory goes to him. All right, let's keep reading 1 Peter 5:5. You younger men likewise be subject to your elders, and all of you clothe yourself with humility towards one another, for God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Now, I suppose you think you might have heard that before. God's opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And you would be correct. And it wouldn't be just here. We just talked about it when we studied James, because that very same verse is in James. It's also, both of them are a quote from Proverbs. So it's in Proverbs 3:34 that God gives, you could just leave the verse up that was 5:5, 1 Peter 5:5, there we go. That God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So let's talk about humility for just a minute. It is an inside-out virtue produced by comparing ourselves to the Lord rather than to each other. That's where humility comes. It's something that's inside of us, and it's comparing ourselves to the Lord as opposed to each other. And the result is a change of behavior that keeps us from being self-inflated, or that we did something wonderful. You know, if we are self-inflated, we're not being humble, we're proud, right? I mean, and I don't mean being happy that you completed something. I mean giving yourself all of the credit, all of the glory, I did this, look at me, you couldn't have done this, but I did this. That's pride, not humility. Humility really, in this sense, means a complete dependence on the Lord. So we're supposed to humble ourselves and depend on God, and he will give us grace if we humble ourselves. He'll lift you up. The Bible verse says, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up, because he's all we need. But if you do it on your own, just to say you decided that you wanted to do it on your own in your own pride, he'll oppose you. So I would prefer to have grace than opposition from God. I don't know about you, but I don't want God's opposition. I want his grace. And his grace comes from me realizing that I can't do anything on my own. There's another song, I can't even walk without him holding my hand. I can't do anything without him. And when I realize that in my humbleness, and my attitude is about him getting the glory, not me getting the glory, he is quick to provide grace upon grace upon grace. But when I'm going to do it on my own, and I think it's all about me, and I'm easily offended, and this is my story, and it's me doing all of the work, and I got myself up, and I did this myself, and I did it my way. God is quick to oppose us. So think about this, as you're walking through life. Am I on God's opposition list, or am I on God's grace list? And it all is decided by by you on the inside. So we need God. We need to trust him when it's hard. We need to trust him when he's silent. We talked about prayers last week about how sometimes he's just silent. We need to trust him when he's silent. We need to trust him when we don't understand. We need to trust him when we're mistreated. We need to trust him when we're suffering. And basically, we just need to trust him always. We just always need to trust him. And right when we think we have it, we need to trust him a little bit more. Because we don't want the opposition of God. We want the grace of God, right? All right. Let's read 1 Peter 5, 6 through 7. Therefore, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you at the proper time, casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. At the proper time or in due time, he will raise you up. You're not going to be like this forever. I know I've talked about this before, but not to tattle, but my husband is the worst sick person, but I can be a bad sick person too. And have you ever been sick where you think you're never going to get better? Like, it's never going to get better. This is the best I'm ever going to be. I am always going to be this exhausted. I'm always going to feel this miserable. I'm always going to have a stuffy nose. My eyes are always going to run. And you feel like that you're never going to get better. It's just not true. And even in your suffering, whatever your suffering is, it's not a permanent situation. There is an end to it. And at proper time, he will exalt you or raise you up. So both for the one in ministry and for all of us, we are to have a servant's heart. And it's really important to have a servant's heart. And you might say, of course I have a servant's heart. I'm doing this because I love Jesus. Well, there's a good test. If you want to know if you have a servant's heart, here's how you know. Look at how you respond when someone treats you like one. If someone treats you like a servant and your response is to recoil and to, how dare they? We probably need to do a little bit of inventory that we're not having a servant's heart, and we need to talk to the Lord about this. Like, I really need a servant's heart, because if anyone had the ability to say, how dare they, it was certainly Jesus. And we're supposed to be more and more like him. So again, if you want to know if you have a servant's heart, how do you react when someone really treats you like a servant? And that should be what we're thinking about. Now, going to my favorite part of this verse, casting, can you put that up again? Casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. It's not that I don't know this verse, by the way. I just have it memorized in King James, and I want to make sure I'm saying it in this version. But casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Let's talk about this again. That word casting, we just talked about that. It doesn't mean if I'm going to cast something, I'm going to cast this microphone on John. I don't walk it over, let him talk into it while I'm holding it, and then take it back and bring it back with me. There, I cast this over to you. That's not casting. But how often do we take our anxiety to the Lord and we tell him about it, and then we pick it up and we bring it right back with us? Yes? Thank you for reading my notes, but you're welcome. No, Allie just said I was told last week, by the way, that somebody that was watching our video said, if other people talk, you need to interpret that so that they can hear it. So Allie just said this is her favorite verse because the word anxiety there really means anything that distracts you, which it really does. But cast all of your cares, all of your worries, all of your anxieties, anything that's distracting you from the Lord, or from what's eating away at you, what's taking your attention. That's your anxieties. Give those to the Lord because he cares for you. And that word cares for you there means he cares for you means you're the one that he is concerned with. You know, instead of, we've got all these things that we're concerned with, we're supposed to give them to him because he is concerned with us. His concern is us. He loves us so much. He doesn't want us carrying all of that stuff Tonight I asked for prayer for Briley. I don't want her carrying all that stuff that she isn't equipped to carry. There are so many things we're not equipped to carry this. We don't have the answers. We can't do anything about it, but God can. And he doesn't want us trying to carry stuff and then, worse yet, tell him about it and then take it back again. I'm just going to carry this myself, but I really need your help, but I'm not going to let you help me. We need to throw your cares on him. Throw them on him. Like, I don't need this. I can't do anything with it. It's too heavy for me. I need to get rid of it and let God carry it. You're supposed to take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there, not take them with you. Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. And again, why? Because he loves you. Now, this is so different in the social economy of the time. So we remember we're in Rome, we're in the time of Nero, but if you know anything about Romans, they had many gods, and this was quite different than anything that was culturally happening at that time. Because the gods being worshipped in Rome at that time, they weren't seen as benevolent or compassionate towards humanity, but powerful and demanding. You know, people had to do things for the gods so that they could just like make it. But the gods had no relationship with the people. You couldn't have a relationship with God. It was a contract. I do this for the gods and they do something for me. And man had to continually do things for the gods. Now, hear me on this. With our God, he is relational. He wants to do things for us. He's like, please give me your cares. Please let me bless you. Let me give you that grace. Our God sent his son to die on the cross so that we could have relationship with him. He's doing all of the work. He built a way for the relationship, but we are often like those Roman gods. We personally are like those Roman gods. We're demanding of God. Like, we put ourselves in the wrong position. Like, we demand of God, like, do this and do this and do this. And we don't want a relationship with him. We just want a contract. Like, if I do this, then you let me into heaven, then we're good, right? And we seem to put ourselves in the position of having a contract with God. And we want God to always be doing things for us. Do this, do this, do this. And God, you should do this. We forget who we're talking to. You know, the God of the universe wants a relationship with us. All the other stuff that happens is a bonus, but he wants a relationship with us because he cares for us. We're the object of his concern, and he wants the best for us because he loves us. I think this is such a beautiful verse, casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. He loves you so much and wants a relationship and he's concerned about us. He wants to take care of us. Let's continue. Only because I'm rushing because I promised I would get done. So I'm going to get done. So let's read 1 Peter 5:8, my second favorite verse. Be of sober spirit. Be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. You could just leave it up. So be of sober spirit. This means, in the truest sense, it means not intoxicated. Like, that's really what the word means. Don't be intoxicated. But it's more than that. It's have your wits about you. Be clear-minded. That's what be of sober spirit is about. Be on the alert, which means be watchful, stay awake, and be vigilant. Be alert. Now, I could tell you so much about lions because I did a whole bunch of studies about lions this last week, so I can tell you all about lions. And I'm going to tell you a little bit because I think it will enlighten our passage a little bit. So why do lions prowl? So be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion. Why do lions prowl? Well, there's a ton of reasons why they prowl, but lions patrol and prowl their territory to defend it against rival prides or other intruders. So they've got some territory and they're protecting it. So they're prowling around, and they are opportunistic hunters, meaning that the prowling allows them to locate and ambush prey, And they move stealthily using their camouflage to blend in with their surroundings, and they wait for the right moment to attack. So they are not, maybe you didn't know this, but lions actually are only, it's about, 27 to 34% of the time when they're hunting do they actually catch anything. So lions aren't even the best hunters. And if they're hunting alone, it's even lower than 27 to 34% of the, but they're watching and they're protecting, they're prowling to make sure that they're able to locate the prey, but also to defend their territory. So although they're formidable predators, their hunting success is not guaranteed, and they rely on a combination of ambush tactics and scavenging. Scavenging is the thing. That's why we need to be alert, because they're scavenging. Satan is scavenging. He's a scavenger. You knew that Satan was a scavenger, right? He's just looking for the pieces that he can pick off. What's the easiest part? Let's pick that off. And he's a scavenger. Now, why do they roar? There's a ton of reasons that they roar too. But roaring is a way to establish dominance. So that's one reason they roar, especially if they are looking through their territory. But also, one of the biggest reasons they roar is to defend their territory. This typically involves, this is the inappropriate parts. I will talk to you guys because you'll understand. This typically involves marking the area with urine, and then rubbing their muzzles against the grass on the shrubs and raking the ground with their paws to leave behind their scent. Then, still sometimes predators or other animals will continue to pursue the lion's territory despite these warnings. And when this happens, the male lion will roar ferociously to scare off the intruders and remind them who's in charge. This reduces the likelihood of or need for any territorial disputes. However, should a predator put up a fight, the lion will do what it can to defend its area and its pride, or its group of people. Not its ego, but its group of lions. So that's your lion lesson for today. Now let's put this in perspective. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. See, the world isn't our home. We're just passing through, and this world is being ruled by Satan. This is his territory. And he's marked his territory. And this is his territory, and he doesn't like us in his territory. He doesn't want us there, and he doesn't want us to impact his world or take any from his pride or from his group. He doesn't want us to have any of those successes, and he wants us to believe that he is in charge. So he's going to try to establish dominance over us. But what does the scripture say? Greater is he that is in you or in me than he that is in the world. But he's lying to us, and he's trying to establish dominance over us. So be aware and pay attention. Be clear-minded and know that you don't need to submit to this enemy, because if we're keeping our eyes on Christ and we understand that Satan is real and that he's threatening us by and we understand that he's real and he's threatened by us. So therefore, he poses a threat to us. We will see him and escape from him if we're paying attention. Why? Because he's trying to protect his territory. And again, he wants to keep us out. But if he can take us down in the meantime, he's going to do that. So be aware, pay attention, know what's going on. You know what's interesting? This verse says that your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion. But Jesus is the Lion of Judah. He's the true lion, the conqueror. Satan doesn't even this is an imitation. It's not real. He tries to. I just listened to the audiobook of The Wizard of Oz. And if you remember the story of The Wizard of Oz, which is a little bit different in the book than on the movie, but remember Oz, he was this great and powerful king, and then when you could see behind the curtain, he's just a little man pushing buttons. That's what Satan is. He's trying to be this big, powerful king, and he's roaring and he's trying to protect his territory. But he's nothing compared to the great and powerful God. So let's finish this up. 1 Peter 5, 9 through 11. But resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same experiences of suffering are being accomplished by your brethren who are in the world. And after you've suffered for a little while, the God of grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself perfect, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. To him be dominion forever and ever. So to him be the power forever and ever. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4:7 says that same thing. Be firm in your faith. That seems to, right here, it seems to indicate that if you're suffering and if you're in weakness, you're apt to be devoured. You're more apt if you're in a suffering state because your attention is on yourself instead of what's going on around you. So be careful. If you're in suffering, it's time to be extra vigilant. Take your spiritual temperature and know that you have the power to resist. And remember, you're not alone. Everyone's going through suffering. Like it said, your brothers and sisters in the faith are going through suffering wherever they are. And God will himself, and we're not doing this because he's caring for us, he will perfect us, confirm us, strengthen us, and establish us. What those words mean in the Greek is when he says he'll perfect us, he's going to exactly fit and join us together with him. That's what perfect is. He's going to put us right exactly like we're supposed to be. If you've done a jigsaw puzzle and you put a piece in and it doesn't really go there, John and I were doing a jigsaw puzzle, and does that fit? I don't know if that fits. There's no question when God perfects us, it fits. It's a perfect fit. Confirm means he's going to give support to, secure, and solidly plant. That's what confirm is. He's going to solidly plant. There's no movement. He's got us solidly planted. Strengthen means just what it says. And establish means lay as a foundation, make you grounded. So God's plan for us is to fit us with him, to give us the support that we need, to strengthen us, and to ground us. That's what happens through suffering, and that's what happens through relationship with him, is that we grow in all these things. To him be the dominion forever, which means the power and the strength. All right, and to the end. I've got a few more verses left. Through Silvanus, our faithful brother, for so I regard him, I have written to you briefly, exhorting and testifying that this is the true grace of God. Stand firm in it. She who is in Babylon, chosen together with you, sends you greetings, and so does my son Mark. Greet one another with a kiss of love. Peace be to you. Allie said, no, don't kiss her. Peace be to you and to all who are in Christ. So just a quick few notes on that, and then we'll close up. So Silvanus is the Roman name for Silas. This is Paul and Silas. Remember Paul and Silas? So Silas is here with Peter at this time, and he's the one that's actually doing the writing. Peter's dictating, and he's writing for Peter. And just as a reminder, why was 1 Peter written? It was to remind you to stand firm in your faith and in the grace of God. Mark is also there with Peter, by the way, and this is not his biological son, it's his spiritual son. It's Mark, like the one that has a book in the Bible, Mark. And he said, peace be with you. There's a reason that this ended with peace be with you. Remember, there's suffering. The Christians are being killed. Nero's crazy. People are being scattered everywhere. And what does he say? Have quietness and rest. That's what that word peace means. Have quietness and rest. It's so hard. You said that your mind was quieted. It's hard to have a quieted mind in chaos. And that's what Peter's saying to them. Quietness and rest to you. So in the midst of the suffering, rest firm in Jesus and know that he cares for you, and we are the object of his concern because he loves us. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your love and your concern, and that we don't have to carry these burdens, and we just keep picking them up and taking them with us, and you're just asking us to give them to you, and not just give them to you, but just throw them away from us so we can't even pick them up again. Lord, help us to cast our cares on you, or our anxieties, our fears, our worries, the things that keep us up at night. Help us to just throw that on you, because you do the caring for us. You care about us. You're the one that can solve these things that we can't solve in our heads. Lord, thank you that you love us so much, that you're not like the other gods that just want something from us, but the only thing you want from us is relationship. You just want to pour your love out on us. You just want to pour your grace out on us. Forgive us for not finding comfort in that, and for not desiring that strongly enough. Lord, I just pray that we would all fall deeper in love with you as we take what you've said in your word to heart, and we understand how much you love us. Lord, help us to have that impact our lives in such a way that we become better examples of you, that we draw closer to you, that you are what's seen by others as they look at us. I don't want people to see me. I want them to see you. Lord, as we go our separate ways tonight, I pray that you will be with us, keep your hand upon us, speak to us, Lord, and help us